Testing 1, 2. Boom, boom. Yeah. Be right there.
Stars are bright in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, catch my eye. Galaxies spinning in the night. I feel small, but I feel right. Planets dance in perfect line. Mysteries in the sky we find. Time and space, they intertwine in this cosmic grand design. Universe so wide, so vast. Moments here, they never last. Floating through the starry past. Journey far, we're going fast. Nebulous in colors bright. Painting dreams in every night. Astronauts in endless flight. Chasing stars and chasing light. Black holes hide where we can't see. Secrets they will always be. Yet we dream relentlessly in the space where souls roam free. Universe so wide, so vast. Moments here, they never last. Floating through the starry past. Journey far, we're going fast.
I love that song, everybody. Okay. Yeah, so I really enjoy that startup song. It's a cool song. It says everything about what we do. Anyway, welcome to SkyTour Livestream. It is I, Mark D'Antonio, your tour guide to the stars, I guess you'd say. Our focus just came in. You can see this nice vertical line here, which tells us that we got our focus. And our telescope is going to move to that focus here in just a second. So we're on an object called the Sculptor galaxy. It's really cool. This will be among the last times we'll be able to see it because it's actually, fading into moonlight with this lunar cycle, and then it'll be too far to the horizon to see. So tonight is probably the last night for the famous Sculptor galaxy. And you might have heard Daryl. Daryl will be along with us in a little while, by the way. If you might have heard him talk about this, and this is true. If the Sculptor galaxy was a little farther north, it would rival the Andromeda galaxy in terms of its detail and beauty. So now that we're all focused, we're going to get out of that right there. And let's, now we have a moon that's out right now. Let me show you the status of the sky. Right, so here's where we're looking right now, and this is our field of view. This red box right there, there's the Sculptor galaxy, right? And I'm gonna just get our telescope all set up. Now, as I zoom out, you'll see that the moon is actually not that far away, but it's a young moon. And we might be able to peek at the moon here after this. Might as well catch it, right? And so, the Sculptor galaxy, with our filters, we won't have too much moonlight issue, all right? But we're going to do a 25-second shot, make it a 20-second, and we'll show what it's doing so you can actually see what's happening. Okay, so you'll see that little yellow bar down there, right over here. That's letting us know. So this is our deep sky mode. I'm sorry, this is our low light mode. We're going to get out of this low light mode and we're going to go into our deep sky mode and allow us to start stacking this image. The telescope is performing well. I'm hopeful that our power issue is no more. And this brightness you see here is because of the way this is set up here. I've got to move our curves over just a little bit more. Okay, so that's what I'll do. And that means first color balance, line up our curves, and then we are going to start to darken up our background. So there you go. So now I will also do a color noise reduction right here. You'll watch this get better immediately. Look at that. And then in our filter, we've got two here, our full width half maximum filter. We can see that the focus is coming in at this number value of 7 point something. So as long as we keep it below, or just above 8, we shouldn't have any problems. We don't think we're gonna have any wind tonight, which is kind of nice. It'll be really nice to spend time out there. I want to say hello to everybody that's here while we're doing this. I want to say hi to the first one that got here. That's Michael Galea. What's up, brother? As I said, Daryl will be along in a little while. Ron Regier is here. Ron is a good friend of mine up in Rim Rock, Arizona. And Tiffany is with us. Tiffany Echo. Carl Becker is with us. Poison Arrow Frog, good to see you again. Alicia is with us. And Sandy, what's happening, man? What's going on? Daisy and Zoe Amethyst, nice to see you as always. And so you guys are the early birds. Let's see who else wants to join. Okay, so now as I do this, I'm going to actually go in zoom so I can get more granularity. Bring my curve over here. There we go. This is our light curve. You'll notice that we have a red, a green, and a blue curve. This is the RGB palette, and we want those curves to kind of be lined up under each other to get the best true color value. So I do the color balance right there, and you see the color of the background will change slightly. Okay, that white curve is the average. This yellow curve, underneath this yellow curve is all the data we're picking from this. So we're taking off data from right about here, and everything under here we're taking. So all this is the stuff we're actually looking at right now. If we look at this right here, okay, we bring this curve in, you'll see the yellow curve rides right up to the top of this double curve there, this curve, and you'll notice that it's almost blown out, and that's because it's too much data. So we actually have to take a metered amount to measure them out. This is our black level. If we move it down, it's going to get lighter and lighter. Okay, as we move it up the curve, the closer it gets to the top. By the time it gets just to the top, that's about as dark as our background can get. Now, ideally, you move those two curves a little bit closer to each other as you get more frames. Right now we have 9 frames stacked right now, and that means we're taking a frame, taking another, aligning it with the first, and stacking it on top and make an image sandwich. This image sandwich will reduce this modeling noise over time, and any details in the galaxy will be extremely more visible. It'll be so much better. This is the sculpted galaxy right here, okay? And, we're looking at a galaxy that is quite literally, it's, it's 11.6 million light years away. So we're seeing this galaxy as it was literally 11.6 million years ago. That's when this light left. It has been going through space ever since and reached our telescope tonight just at that moment. And the photons that are striking our telescope right now that we're broadcasting to you, they're the first time they've been seen in 11.6 million years. It's kind of cool. I'll reduce this value over here. I'm going to move it to the right a little, so it'll help us to shave some of the noise away and immediately make this look better, as you can see. All right, now we have 13 frames stacked right here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And there you go. You'll notice our stars are nice and round, and the reason is because we're using this. This filter is called the full width half maximum filter, written by Robin Glover. And the full width half maximum, what it does is, if you can think of a star as a spike of light and then it trails off to fainter and fainter areas around the outside of the image, every star kind of looks like a bump on an image. Okay? It's like a bump with a little trail off to the side. I see Daryl is going to join us shortly. I'll get you in a minute, Daryl. And so what this does is, if the stars are subject to wind, then they're going to be elongated, and the images are going to be really big and bloated, and they might be elongated dashes. So what this thing does is this filter looks at the star images and makes sure that the roundness has been preserved. And if it has, then if it's within the threshold I specify, then we'll get to see the actual image, the stacked plate, I should say, or the stacked image will show up here. Otherwise, it'll turn red, and it won't come in. Right? So that's how this works. So right now, we have 17 stacked on the Sculptor Galaxy. And what I'll do now is I'll go see if I can bring in Daryl and see if he wants to join. I think he will. Let me just give him a ringy ding here and see if I can get him in. So, assuming that he'll join, we'll actually be able to bring him in. Okay, so I suspect that you're here, Daryl.
I suspect you're right.
There you are.
Sorry, I had just sat down to eat when you messaged me. He gave me 7 minutes notice, people.
I know, right?
7 minutes. All these East Coast types are alike.
Ooh.
Anyway, here I am. Late's better than never. What are we looking at?
This is the Sculptor Galaxy. Let me bring you up to speed.
All right. Yeah, I thought I recognized it.
Yeah, let me bring you up to speed here and give you the imagery that you like.
You need to share screens with. There you are.
Yeah, I already did. So what I do with Daryl is I actually share the live feed with him so that he can see it in real time. Because if he just looks at the YouTube video from a live stream, you'll notice that there's a delay. Sometimes it's 5 or 6 seconds. Sometimes it's 30 seconds or more. So to avoid that, especially when you have someone on who's a co-host with you, he has to see it at the same time I do. So I have to share my screen with him, and luckily we can do that. We've got, a good fast internet here, gigabit internet, and it's all good. It makes it worthwhile for us to do this. This image is starting to look pretty nice now, Daryl.
It is. It was looking nice when I first saw it.
Yeah, and take a look at how high it is too. If its altitude is pretty low and the moon is near it, we're talking about something that's only 27 degrees off the horizon right now. It's 27 degrees from the horizon. If I get rid of the equatorial lines and bring in our other lines here, you'll see it's just under 30, 27 degrees. And that's well below, as an astronomer, when we look at what we call programmed stars that we will look at in the sky, we never look at stars that are 27 degrees because we're getting too much, basically, interference and attenuation or reduction in the amount of light we're getting from that star because of what we call air mass, the air between us and the curve of the Earth as we look out through the Earth's atmosphere to the star light years away. So we tend to look at a cone up above, and if we did that, you might not have a very exciting night. So we look everywhere in the sky, and hopefully with your help, if we can get enough donations, we're going to be able to install the second telescope, which we already have. Thank you to our donors for that, in Benson, Arizona, on top of the mountain. And it'll be a mountain we're sharing with other professional astronomers. So finally, I'll be among my own.
Nerds.
Yeah, well, how did I know you were going to say that?
Space nerds. My screen is really small. What can we do about that?
I haven't changed it.
Yeah, well, this is that different computer.
Oh.
Just
Yeah.
it's tiny, and I can't quite go full screen because I'll lose all the other controls.
Okay.
Carry on, darn it.
Well, that gives you some impetus to get your new computer picked up.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Okay. Want to say hi to Bonnie, who just joined us, and Dagger. Good to see you guys.
Bonnie, Dagger, Kevin, Michael, Daryl,
And Nevitz is here. That's you.
Ron, Nevitz, Tiffany. Hello, Tiffany. C&D,
Yeah.
Dagger Spells, Carl Becker. Sorry, no donuts. I do have an Italian sort of coffee cake, though. Christmas present.
Yeah. Sam S is here. Hey, Sam. Nice to see you.
Sam.
Yeah. So, guys, we're gonna let this come in a while. We got 29 frames. Again, we're doing a 20-second exposure for this galaxy. Not much more needed than that. You also notice here, for those that, again, I know some of you have seen this before, but I just want to kind of show people that may not have seen it. There are some that haven't. This is our telescope control. This is our telescope computer. Right now, there's nothing on the screen. Here is the security camera 1, security camera 2, and my camera. Hi. Okay, this is our stacking screen right here, so you can see what's going on as we stack our images on top of each other. This is our exposure, a very important value, and the other one is the gain. The gain is the sensitivity of the sensor, and the exposure is how long we're going to expose that sensor. So you play off these two over there to get the best bang for the buck, and what we're doing is 20 seconds at 250 or so gain. Then down here is our focus controls. These over here, this is another processing element if we want to use it, and so forth. So that's the way around the screen here at SkyTour live stream. And we're at 300 gain right now, actually. So I can change what I want to look at. So I'm going to look at my curves and bring this up a little higher, get it a little darker background, and then it comes in. Look at that. That's looking really nice. And this, I can actually bring this mid-level down just a little to get rid of some of the noise that we're seeing. And as I said, as we get more frames, we can pull those up. Marianne Robb has a message retracted. Oh, I wonder what she was saying. I'm going to assume she wasn't saying hello. That's better. Hi, Marianne.
That sure looks nice. We're starting to wester in the southwest.
I know. It's looking good for where it's sitting in the sky. Marianne, as you guys know, is she's our amazing person who handles all the finances for SkyTour Livestream. So hopefully you guys can help us out if you can. Join our Patreon. You can go to skytourlive.org right here and give us a one-time donation if you like, or become one of the family. And if you go into the Patreon, if you get a Patreon membership, I don't remember the numbers, but at a certain amount, you get 4 fully processed images a month, different each month. And then at the higher levels, you get all of our images highly processed. And those are just beautiful, and you can put those on many, many things if you felt like it. You could put those on bedspreads. You could put we've already got it for you though if you want it. You can put it on all kinds of things. And up there in the upper right corner now, you'll see the Etsy store we have called SkyTour Shop. You can actually come over here, okay, right up here. And SkyTour Shop is where you can find things like mugs and travel cups and T-shirts and hats, boxer shorts for crying out loud, bathing suits, shoes, socks that are all astronomical themes from all the images we took. That's all our stuff. So you can see the Horsehead Nebula on your socks. You can get the beautiful Orion Nebula on a mug and so forth. So there's all kinds of things you can get if you like. And we had a lot of people come on board for the Christmas season. It was nice. You know, so that's cool. Now, I wanted
You
to...
know, the last stream,
Yeah?
you had over 700 views an hour after the stream.
Yeah, I saw that. It's over 800 now. That's nice. So it seems like 2025 might stand to be good for us, you know? You know, Tiffany says, the shoes are awesome. Yeah, whenever I do talks all over the country at different conferences, and I will wear the SkyTour sneakers on the stage. You know, I'll be in a suit and I'll wear SkyTour sneakers. And people look at my feet and they're going, what the heck is he wearing? And as Daryl might say, nerd. You know.
I'm biting my tongue here.
You don't have to. Let's zoom in a little more now.
The things we do for love.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I
get to see all the processed images, folks, whether I want to or not.
Well, that's true, because in the sky, whether you want to or not, what? Yeah, when we're in, we communicate through Skype, and so every time I process an image, I'll send it to Daryl, I'll send it to Izabela. Izabela does a lot of processing with me, and I wrote, for Photoshop, I wrote this action set to allow us to quickly get to a certain point with every image. And I've been adding to it and adding other applications that I haven't written to it to help to the process. So it's called the workflow. And we end up getting just really stunning images. I mean, our spaghetti nebula we took the other night, that came out pretty.
Yeah.
You know, I should show that, you know, just to show people how that looks. But
didn't really look like spaghetti, but it looked really cool.
It did, didn't it? It did. It did have a real nice look to it. So, but I'll grab that too while we're still doing more here.
Kind of reminded me of the plate after you ate spaghetti.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like there was a few strands left on there.
Yeah, yeah. But the fact that we can see those strands is kind of new, because the problem is we literally didn't have we did not have the ability to see some of this detail with the previous camera. It's not that the previous camera was bad. The previous camera's parameters were such that we couldn't get the most out of the camera that it could offer with this particular telescope. We have a camera on there now that's literally matched to the specific focal length of our telescope, and we're in what's called the exceptional range for imaging with our telescope, and that helps us a lot. And we are, if you look at the telescope, you'll notice right here that it has a well, you can't really see it too well, but it has a round thing in there. This is a Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope, but that's actually the camera on the front of the telescope. And the camera is attached to a large lens, which is a modification to our telescope. All right, so we've added this modification will give us the ability to be 25 times faster than it was natively when we bought it and put it up. And this also, thanks to Starizona in Tucson, Arizona, called Hyperstar, has allowed us to have a wide field. And so we're able to capture a much wider field, which is 1.5 degrees by 1 degree in size. And that's 3 full moons by 2 full moons in size, in width, you know. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So
Speaking of the moon, I hope people have got to see it the last few evenings. Pretty young crescent. It came up below Venus and passed right next to it.
Oh, yeah.
Is headed up and out now.
That was really stunning. Beautiful.
Refresh my memory, or I'll go look if you make me. Sculptor Galaxy, NGC number?
Oh, yeah, I'll have to go look. Let's go look. Sculptor Galaxy's NGC number is going to be given when I go right here. All right, and that...
It is 253. I was thinking, and it is the Silver Dollar Galaxy. Okay.
Silver coin,
I was thinking,
silver coin,
yeah.
or silver dollar.
I'm confused.
I know.
I was thinking maybe of another galaxy low in the south under Aquarius.
Okay.
But yes, I recognize the Sculptor galaxy.
Excellent. And now what I'll show people is this other object that we took the other night, which they were here for. All right, and you may not see it, Daryl, but this is it. This is called the Spaghetti Nebula, and it's really beautiful. And the Spaghetti Nebula is an ancient supernova remnant, and you can see these wisps going all over the place. This is very faint, but it has all this very, very diffuse red ionized hydrogen in it, along with these filamentary structures. So it's just beautiful.
See what I mean about the plate after you ate the spaghetti?
Yes, of course. It looks like the
Just
sauce
huge
streaks.
strands of- Yeah. Ever want to see a cool channel, go watch Pasta Grannies on YouTube. They're genuine old Italian grandmothers making pasta the old-fashioned way, homemade.
There must be a lot of yelling.
No.
Really?
They're nice,
Oh,
usually.
yeah,
You'll see pastas you never see in the U.S.
that's for sure. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so as Marianne says, Patreon is great, but if anyone would like to just make a one-time donation, please go to skytourlive.org and make a donation. Click the donate button. It's right there in the middle. And you guys are all amazing. And I want to thank those that have donated. It's crazy. And by the way, it's all tax deductible, just so you know, because we are a nonprofit company. I don't make a dime here. Okay. I'm not taking a salary, not at this point. I don't think it's right to do that if we don't have the money to put a telescope in the observatory. I'm certainly not going to start taking away money. So I do this for the passion, and I'm glad to take you all along. So
You see some people on YouTube who have followings. I mean, geez, they're taking jet trips around the world and stuff all the time.
yeah, and if that's what their folks want to see, then I guess that's more power to them,
I guess.
right? Yeah, so I'm very happy with what we've done so far with SkyTour live stream. One of these days I'm gonna have to do a making of show or video to talk about how this all started. It started in the front lawn here in Connecticut where I live, and in a dome, an actual dome. I had a telescope in a dome. Actually, the telescope that I had in the dome is right behind me. Let me see if I can show that to you while we're waiting. We're still getting frames here. Okay, we've had 5 rejected frames. Let's go look at what those were. You'll see that they're probably all clustered near each other. Well, not necessarily. There's 2 that are, and we're getting all greens now. So the wind kicked up for a little bit, made our star images on that one frame bad, so we didn't take them, and so we retained our nice round stars. We'll always have round stars from now on. Okay, let me see if I can show you. Where is it? There it is. Let me show the background here. Alright, so right behind me, right there, I don't know if you can see it. Okay, probably not. I might have to do this. Yeah, that's the previous telescope. I brought it in here for rehabbing, and I've rehabbed it, and it's ready to go into an observatory. But I think what we're going to do with Connecticut is to go solar. We're going to go and put in a solar telescope. Now, I already have that telescope, and I already have the hardware to make the observatory, and I bought all that myself. But I want to make a fully remote solar observatory out front so that during the day we can stream the sun all day long, and then possibly at the end of each day we could actually do a time lapse of all the streamers and stuff coming off the sun and build those beautiful images people see and videos. And that's the goal there. And as time goes on, we'll upgrade the telescope as possible to a better solar telescope than even this. And
Yeah. Have you seen the new Skywatcher H Alpha telescope? Uh, it's about 74 or 76 millimeters.
wow.
Dylan O'Donnell tested it recently. He really liked it.
Okay.
I don't know if it'd work well for a remote observatory, though. Your front yard might be better. I think there's a knob up on top of it you have to be able to turn.
Oh, I can engineer something for that.
Well, yeah.
Because as it is on the telescope I have, I'm engineering the ability to turn a knurled handle that will allow us to change the filter settings for the H alpha, so we can
Right.
look at sunspots, pull out to see flares, pull out further to see prominences and granules on the surface. So yeah, that'll actually be pretty cool. You know, and the camera for that is going to be probably a monochrome camera, because otherwise, you know, people are going to get sick of looking at an orange dot or orange blob on the screen all day long. Yeah, this is looking good. Let's see now that we have 65 shots, and I put in our target name up there. You can see that I put in our target name. I'm going to save this. You'll see a green bar show up there. That's an astronomical file format called FITS. And this is the ping file. And then I'll show you what else we do. We also do this here, where we come in here and we do our annotation. All right, and that means we come out and do this. This is an annotation which tells us what we're looking at. Okay, I mean, we know what we're looking at, we're going there. But then we save it with the annotation, so that when that saves, what's on the server at skytourlive.org, which is free for you to go check out, is exactly this image. Okay, and the other image that you get is the one that's without the annotations. The one I saved previously, you get this image as well. And these are free for you to take. Now, these are not fully processed. These are processed in a way that is pleasurable to look at, pleasing to the eye, but for real sharp levels of detail, we need to process it further. Because if we zoom in here, you'll notice, as good as this looks, as we zoom in, you look at this modeling. See this modeling? This is called digital noise. We want to get rid of that. And we get rid of the digital noise while sharpening detail like this in the galaxy. And it really enhances the look of the galaxy tremendously. And it makes it far more pleasing. Looks so much better when put on a giant poster and things like that. So that's what we like to do. So that's it. All right, so we have 70 shots here. We're done. I was kind of starting to take this picture just before I started, and so that's it. We're done with that.
It's a very nice picture.
It is, and that'll be up on our server within 30 seconds. And now I'll go back into our low light mode right here. Okay. Our low light mode is great because it allows us to see the object in the sky kind of in this low light mode that allow us to kind of get a glimpse of what's there, kind of like a finder scope, right? This is probably what the galaxy would look like to your eye in a scope like maybe an 8-inch telescope or so. Might look like a fuzzy line. You might be able to look down here and see a little more detail because you're starting to engage the rods in the outer fringe of your retina, which are more sensitive to dim light. So in the scope, you look to the left or the right. That's called averted vision, or up or down, and that allows you to use those additional receptors. But when you look directly at something, the color receptors in your eye are what want to be engaged, but the color's not available for you for most objects because of the fact that they are so dim. They don't set off the cones, the color receptors in your retina. And that's just something that we live with as human beings. Okay, so let's go here. All right, so the other thing we have our wonderful and beautiful planetarium that we like to show as we head over to the moon. As we go to the moon now, I'm going to take this way down to maybe 50 milliseconds or less and drop us back out of a gain of 300 down to 0. And at 75 milliseconds or 50 milliseconds, look at how bright the moon still is. We have to bring it even lower. So that's what we'll do. We'll go down to 12. Alright. Actually, what I'll do is also remove this here, and that'll actually make it a little better. There we go. Alright, so let's move the moon in. Good. There we are. It's kind of amazing to think about it, but right now we're looking at the moon, and the telescope's moving to put the moon in the middle like this. But the fact is, the moon is, the telescope is actually 2,600 miles from here, out in Arizona, and I'm in Connecticut, all the way across the country. Yeah, that's funny. I wanted to see if it could annotate and know where the moon was, but of course it can't. I just thought I would try it. So the moon looks pretty. This is just before first quarter, or the first fourth of its way around the Earth. So it's not quite the midline here. It's just a little before that. If you can imagine in 3D, it's a ball that's a little further toward the sun from us, and so we're seeing it kind of from the back a little bit at this point where it is in its orbit. It's a spatial problem that you have to solve mentally. Marianne,
Go ahead. Yeah, Marianne, be glad you're not in the Midwest. They're really getting hammered right now.
Yeah, Pennsylvania's got tons of snow in it.
Sister in Kansas City, she's been emailing. We're having a good old Midwestern ice storm back there.
Wow.
The Kansas City Chiefs are supposed to leave Kansas City and fly to Denver to play the Broncos tomorrow, and the plane had been unable to get off the ground because of ice conditions on the runways and all.
Wow.
I don't know if they ever did take off. I assume so by now. It's just cold here. The snow's mostly missing us. The low pressure center passed south of here, headed east, and when it got far enough east, it started picking up Gulf moisture from the south, plus cold air from the north, and thus they're really getting hammered back there.
Yeah.
Mostly cold here.
Yeah.
But I did make a pot of chili and a fresh batch of cornbread to go with, just in case.
Oh, that's really good.
It is.
Yeah. Hi, Renee Cruz. Ron Regier says his son's flying from Albany to Phoenix tomorrow, God willing. I don't know that Albany's getting hammered by anything right now. Maybe it is. I know it's in Pennsylvania. Okay, yeah. All right. Hey, Rob Nalu, how are you? Nice to see you, brother. Thanks for coming in. Jorge Cortes, how are you? Yeah, as Marianne explained, I am in Connecticut controlling the telescope and everything in the building out there. So you can imagine that we've had to do some things to be able to manage like emergencies and things that may happen. And that's what this is here. This is my program that I wrote to control the telescope system out there. And it does all the big important things like manage the roof and the power and so forth. And very important stuff. And we're actually adding to it probably the next go round. I'm going to add a second smaller computer in the building that will manage power alone. Just that's all it's going to do is manage power. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, and so this is a nice image. I'm actually going to take a snapshot of this. It's going to go into the wrong directory, but that's okay. It's going to go into the Sculptor Galaxy directory, but I'll move it. There it is. So this image is now a snapshot that we took, and that'll be available for you if you want it. Our next telescope is going to be able to see things like the moon and the planets a literally 10 times better than what we're seeing here. Our telescope is designed for wide field things, big star clusters, large expansive nebulae. It's a wide field system. So we're not, right now I'm zoomed in to like 47% of the center. Right. If I go back, this is the size of the moon, the full moon, and we have 3 of them across here and 2 of them here to the size of our field. Again, 1.5 degrees because the moon is half a degree in size, and 2 tall, and that size is the region of the sky that we can see at one time. That's pretty big, and considering that if we look at the moon with the new telescope, we're going to be seeing something more akin to this. That's what we're going to see. Something along the lines of this. And it's going to be, it'll be exceedingly sharp. This isn't bad. I actually noticed there's a low moisture content in the air out there right now. So we don't have a lot of water vapor in the air, and that's very, very good for seeing, as it's called. It's always good transparency out there.
There's the lobster claw to the left of your pointer.
Right here?
To the left, to the right of your pointer.
Oh, there's a plane. Did you see that?
A plane. I saw that.
Oh, guys, we got a plane that flew through. It was a Cessna. Looks like a Cessna 172.
If you see the crater with the peak in the shadow, right there, and then just go left about 3 or 4 diameters. Go right.
You mean here?
I mean to the lower right of that. Right there. See the lobster claw?
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That's what I always think of that.
All right. Well, you know what? When we get the Celestron in the building, hopefully in Benson, things like this will be crystal clear. We'll be able to see things. We'll be able to zoom in and do the crater diving very well, like P&K Space Imaging has done in the past. Don't hear much from them these days. I think it's because Keith is very busy. But we're going to do the same kind of thing. We'll be able to see a lot of these things in much more detail. And so, like when the moon gets more full toward gibbous, or 3/4 full, that's kind of when we stop doing the streams, because then the moon becomes so bright that as good as our filters are, it still overwhelms the filters. So we would probably switch to using the Benson scope for doing lunar stuff and planetary stuff at that point. But we can still do this. We can still do this, with this telescope as well, up to about the gibbous 3/4 full phase. When it's full, no. But we can use the telescope when it's full to look at the moon's surface as well with the Celestron. There won't be a lot of contrast because you don't get shadows when it's full, because you're literally looking right along the line of sight that the light is coming from. It's coming from behind you, basically. So, anyway, so this is kind of neat. So that's it looks kind of good tonight. I'm actually pleased with how that looks.
Can you back out so you see the full orb of the moon now? I'm going to say something really basic. You may think it sounds dumb, or maybe it'll open your eyes. When you see the crescent moon like that, imagine that is an archery bow, like a bow and arrow, and where the top and bottom tips of the crescent are, those are the tips of the bow, okay? And then imagine the bowstring right between those two, splitting it right down the middle. If you can imagine that, now imagine you have knocked an arrow onto the very middle of the bowstring, pointing out the front of the bow, so it's bisecting the 2 halves of the crescent there. Okay, and now if you want to draw a little arrowhead on the end of that mark, that always points directly at the sun.
That is correct.
And that's how it works. I mean, the moon is closer to us than the sun, of course, but it's orbiting around as it moves toward full.
Yeah.
And when you see a crescent moon, though, just you can do a real quick little, visualization, and the sun will be down below the horizon, but if you can imagine where the sun set, the moon will always be pointing directly facing the sun.
Yeah, and we can actually show that a different way as well by coming in here and looking at our moon right there. And there's the horizon. If we zoom in and look at which way the moon's looking, check that out. This is our view. And as Daryl was pointing out, this is the bowstring, and this is now going down through the middle. So basically, that's telling you that the sun is down here somewhere. And it is.
Yep.
That is Venus, yes. I've been getting a lot of UFO reports saying that Venus is a UFO. Especially when it's low to the horizon, people say, "What's that so low to the horizon? It's going crazy, changing colors." You know?
You wouldn't believe how many people on Reddit have been posting on a nightly basis. Golly, what is that real bright thing up next to the moon? Or
Yeah.
Or what is that big bright thing over in the east? Or what's that little dipper-shaped looking thing up in the sky in the east above Jupiter?
Yeah, people have different levels of understanding of the night sky, and some have much more, some have much less. So, I try to be accommodating because I know that I was one of those people once. Hey, Mr. Django, how's it going over in your Django's backyard over in Belgium? Rainy Belgium. Everybody's raining. Come on, man. Not good. Okay, let's go here now. And Venus is too low for me to look at right now, by the way. The moon is pretty low right now. And Venus is going to be... Let's look at its altitude.
Not very high anymore.
Oh, wait. 12 degrees.
If you go out after sunset... during dusk, when it hadn't got completely dark yet, Venus is quite high in the southwest right now, about as high as it's going to get.
Yeah.
And Venus is about as far to the upper left of the sun as it can get. When you see Venus, it is coming around from the far side of the sun in its orbit, and it has reached its maximum extent to the upper left of the sun. And this is called quadrature, and it's when Venus, from our point of view, turns the corner in its orbit around the sun. If you see Venus in a telescope, it looks like a little tiny half-lit moon right now. It'll be 1/30th the size when it is closest. But it's half-lit, facing the sun also, just like the moon is. And it's going to start dropping night by night now, as it moves back closer to the sun again. In the coming weeks or a month or two, Venus will pass roughly between the Earth and the sun. That's called an inferior conjunction from Venus's point of view. But from Venus's point of view, the Earth is at what's called opposition at that time. It's on the opposite side of the sky from the sun as seen from Venus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we're basically closest to it, plus biggest and brightest from Venus's point of view. Venus will continue getting brighter and brighter as it drops night by night, up to a certain point when the Venusian crescent gets so skinny. Well, the trade-off between the amount of lit area of the crescent and the intensity of the sunlight, it'll finally start getting dimmer again right before it passes between Earth and Sun.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I've managed this 2 or 3 times in my life. At the very last, a few days after new moon, when there's a young crescent in the sky, young crescent moon, Venus will pass right next to the moon. Luckily, sometimes you can catch them in the same field of view. And what you'll see at that time, this is after the last new moon, before Venus's inferior conjunction, you will see 2 crescents sitting there of similar phase, how wide the crescent is, how full it is or skinny. And the little crescent will be Venus, and it will be 1/30th the diameter of the moon at that time. The moon is half a degree across, and Venus is about 1 minute across when it's close. So it's 1/30th the size, and since the moon is 1/4 the diameter of the Earth, and Venus is roughly the same diameter of the Earth, a little bit smaller, uh, you can say since it looks 1/30th the size, that it's actually about 4 times the size, that it's 120 times farther away. And since we know the moon is roughly 250,000 miles away, well, you multiply that by 30, and or you divide 120 by the 30, and it's about 30. I'm getting tongue tied here.
It's okay.
Venus will be about 30 million miles away when it's at its closest to us, about 120 times farther away than the moon is. So there.
Very good. Thank you, Daryl. So I want to say hi to Stan, who Rivers Observatories with us, asking me what program you're using to do the lines. It's what's called a telestrator, and it's a product that I have which will allow me to do not just lines, but I could do all kinds of shapes and stuff in there. I can do other things as well, and draw boxes around things and so forth. Like if I wanted to draw a box around a particular crater, I could draw a box around the crater, show that, shift to arrows and save. And then there's this guy over here. See that right there? And you can see it's semi-transparent. It's very nice. And it's part of our remote access system. So I was looking for what this thing, it's called, like I said, it's a telestrator. I was looking for these, and I've got one that integrates very nicely with what we're doing. So I did this right here with the moon because I'm trying to show you, and I'm going to kick this up now, and now watch. Here is the unlit side of the moon right now. It will be lit at full moon. This will be the full moon. Okay, but because the moon is a little further toward the sun from us, we're seeing this. Now you're seeing high clouds pass in front of the moon. The high clouds just came out of nowhere. Look at this. So we have a batch of high clouds that are coming in. This on the west, over here in the east. This is the eastern horizon. This is actually called the lights of Phoenix, and the lights of Phoenix are almost 75 miles away. But with a sensitive camera, they show up. The clouds here usually they're bright until about here, then they get black, and then they're dark all the way out to the horizon. But they're not because the moon is out. All right, and we can still image a few things while we're looking through these light clouds, and I'll check to see if those light clouds are going to go away anytime soon. And if not, well, then we'll just say, oh no, and give up for the night. But that's okay. We may not have to. Let me go see what we're looking at right here. Okay, I see what we've got here coming in. Maybe it's gonna be a pain for us. We'll see. Anyway, so looking at the moon, that gives you that aspect of it, the three-dimensionality here of the ball that's illuminated. Okay, which is cool. But now let's go back here, and again, as I said, Venus is too low to see. I wanted to, but we can't. But let's go now. I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna do any of the nebulae now because with the clouds, they'll just be completely destroyed. Let's take a look at this. Let's see if we can. That's what I thought it was. Yeah. All right. This will work actually. Okay. Let's try looking at this. Now this is an interesting. It's a star, but it's a star that is really important. So let's check it out. You'll see the telescope now heading up. It's going to look toward the north side, which is out here. Okay, so the telescope's going to head out that way, and I'm going to set our low light view here. Okay. And we're looking in the constellation of Cassiopeia. And I got to see if we can identify what's here.
Can I say one more thing about the moon real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you ever feel like playing around, folks, turn on a lamp in your living room or whatever room you're in, and take the lampshade off and turn off the other lights, and then pick up a ping pong ball or a baseball or a softball or an apple or peach or something, and hold it out at arm's length. And first hold it so it's blocking the sun, and then with the arm still extended, start moving counterclockwise to your left, and you can see it, a crescent phase on what you're holding, night by, what would be night by night if it was really the moon, and then turn it all the way around so you're facing away from the light bulb, and that object will be the full moon. And you're perfectly reproducing why the moon goes through phases.
Yeah, I used to teach that quite a bit to people.
Yeah.
I would actually put somebody out there in the middle of the room and have somebody else be the sun, and I'd literally have them walk around and describe what they see.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Adults love it just as much.
Yeah, that's one of those things that'll. Some people have an aha moment because they never thought of it like that.
I know. That's right.
Yeah, I was showing Boy Scouts at a star party one night, and we were looking at the crescent moon, and this Boy Scout thought, I thought that was like an eclipse going on. That's Earth's shadow on the face of the sun, when it was not even close to that.
Yeah.
So I explained it to him. Hopefully he learned something.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully he did. Okay, so as you can see, we've got some clouds passing over here. You can kind of see them. That's what this bright area is here. But I want to go back to another star in the field that is actually really interesting. And I went to Shedar, which is one of the stars in the W of Cassiopeia here. And it was just a temporary one. Okay, it's this star here. Navi is down here. Okay, and this is the rest of the W here. And there's a star that is nearby, which is really fascinating. And it doesn't look like much, right? But there's an incredible story of its evolution that is really neat, and I would like to show it to you while we talk about it. Huh?
You're looking pretty much north now, aren't you?
Yeah, I got the north is right up there, because this is the zenith values right here.
Yeah. I mean, Cassiopeia is flipped clean over.
Yeah. Yeah. As you can see, when we look up to the north, okay, you can see all the clouds you got. Wow. Here's our compass rose: north, south, east, and west. And we're looking at Cassiopeia, which, if you look at our constellations, right, here it is, right here, okay? I'll show it to you. There's the W of Cassiopeia right here, and we don't have, it's I'm going to show you another thing here too when we get to it. But hopefully we get a little clarity and you'll be able to see it a little better. Yeah. The Pleiades are right here, the Seven Sisters. Yeah. So hopefully we get some clarity here. Okay, let's pop out of this. And let's try a 5-second exposure just to see. Let's do that. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna have some brightness in it, but that's okay. Oh, that's right. That's our last object, the Sculptor galaxy. And is our guiding going to work here? Yeah, guiding's having a little trouble, only because it's trying to guide on stars that are not doing well right now. Star images are low quality, so it's not able to do it. Let's see if it got one anyway. Yeah, we got too many. Well, this is the red star I wanted you to see. That little red star is amazing because it's actually a star that is called a carbon star. Now, it's called STCAS, and what is a carbon star? A carbon star is a star that has reached its red giant stage, where it's done with hydrogen conversion to helium. The hydrogen fusion is no longer working because the hydrogen fuel has run out. And so the core of the star begins to contract at that time. And as it does, it gets really, really hot and radiatively pushes out around it because it gets so hot. And by doing that, it causes the star to blow up big and into a red giant. And then you have a situation where these large convection cells, like in a pot of boiling water, begin to happen in the star's outer atmosphere. And sometimes that can go deep down into the star and then come back up. And over the course of the evolution of the star, that can happen a couple times. And that's called dredge up, like dredging a river, D-R-E-D-G-E, dredge up. And the first dredge up will bring up a bunch of carbon isotopes from inside. And what will happen is it'll create in the outer atmosphere these larger stars because they're so cool out there, not nearly as hot as the center where the core is. The core is only about 10% or 7% of the size of the star. You know, in many stars, like in our sun, it's about 20% the size of our star. In Betelgeuse, it's about 1% the size of Betelgeuse because it's reflected on the size. And a star like this one, it's probably 7%. And so the outer atmosphere of the star is basically cool enough that molecules can form. And you get molecules of carbon linking with other carbon atoms. And so that becomes like a soot. And it really reddens the color of the star tremendously. So this star is called a carbon star. And they tend to be exceedingly red, and this one's actually kind of a because of the clouds. It doesn't look as deep red as it really does. It usually gets very, very deep red. So and one of our listeners or viewers tonight is called Carbon Star, and I kind of like that. I've always liked the name that Carbon Star uses. You know, so it's kind of neat. You know, and by the way, I forgot to say hello to Sheldon, who's here. Good to see you, Sheldon. And I think JSCO, I did not say hi to, and Ronald, ERRT Radio. Ronald, how are you feeling? I just want to know, because Ronald was dealing with a few things, and I wanted to find out how he's handling it, how he's dealing. All right. So, this is the Carbon Star world, and there's some, and as time goes on, as we get into winter more, you'll see some other carbon stars that we have that we're gonna take and showcase with you, because they're very, very rich in carbon and they look so red. And the reason they look red again is because that soot in the outer atmosphere is causing the light to redden, and it's just the more carbon there is in the outer atmosphere, the redder the star is. So it's pretty cool. I saw a question about someone saying that they're getting into astrophotography, and I meant to answer it. Did you see that, Daryl?
Somebody said they just dropped 5,000 on a new telescope and mount. I forget who that was. I don't know if that's who you're talking about.
No, it's someone saying they're getting into astrophotography.
Uh,
Yeah, that was Rocket City Astro who said that.
yeah, okay.
Very cool, though. All right, so let me look back and see. Hey, Richard Minnick is here. Hi, Richard.
Stan, yeah, you can look up. I assume there's a list of carbon stars. Surely there is.
Oh, yeah, there is. I can get that list.
There's a well-known
Mm-hmm.
variety of carbon stars,
We might have a bunch of them in our application.
and they're all really, really red.
Yeah.
Goes with the territory.
Yeah, I'm still looking here to see who wrote that image because I feel bad I missed it. And Jane Murdoch's with us. Hey, Jane. I didn't see her earlier. I apologize. Jane's been here. She's a friend. And she was here for our Mars party. We had a Mars party here.
Alice, a carbon star is not light because they like red giant stars, but they're not dense. Out toward the edges, they're like a red hot vacuum.
Oh, Alice Pooper, hey there. Yeah, as I talked about, Alice, the carbon stars are red giants, and some of them can be pretty big. They could be, if you put them where the sun is, they could be out past Earth's orbit. They could go out to Mars orbit even. When they get to really big supergiants, they can go out to like Jupiter's orbit in size, like Antares and Betelgeuse are in that vicinity of range of diameter, and that's really huge. And that means the entire orbit of Jupiter would be taken up by Betelgeuse if it was where the sun is.
Yeah, so you could imagine a big star, but it's gotten so much bigger and bloated that the density is very low inside the shell of the star.
Yeah, it only is highly dense as you get near the core.
Yeah.
And as you get near the core, that's the only place fusion's taking place. And that core size pretty much stays the same. But what happens is, as the star runs out of hydrogen, then the core shrinks a little bit, and it pushes out all this radiative energy, which bloats the star. And then that temperature in the core can get hot enough to like 100 million Celsius, where it can start fusing carbon, helium into carbon. And when that happens, now a whole new energy generation mechanism is born, and the star goes through yet another phase. And what it's doing is it has these shells around the core where it's actually fusing these different materials. So you'll have a hydrogen burning shell, not doing too much in these larger stars. You'll have a helium burning shell, which could be fiercely fusing helium into carbon. In the very massive stars, you have these shells out there that are fusing elements all the way up to silicon and iron. And interesting thing is, you've heard of silicon. It's in our chips and so forth. But do you know that when a star is reached the end of its existence, it's fusing silicon in its core. And when it's fusing silicon, that lasts for only 1 day. In the history of the universe, the particular star, 1 day out of its existence will be spent fusing silicon. So that means that there's got to be an awful lot of supernovae that have been going off to spread as much silicon as we have on our planet to the cosmos, where our sun, drifting through the galaxy, going in a path around the center, could actually find more of this material. I think that's pretty cool. It's really cool, actually. So let's take a look at how bad it looks out there. It's probably okay. Well, Yeah. Hey, look, that's a contrail from a jet. All right, well, we'll try to see if this is gonna indicate a clearing up. It looks like it may, but we'll hang out a little more. And I'm gonna go and find another object for us to look at, which I think the best thing to look at right now, which will be really pretty, is the double cluster, because that's something that we can actually check out without any problem right now. So we're gonna go there now, and we'll get off the carbon star kick, get out of here, and we're on the 1 second. I'm gonna go down to our low light mode, and we should see, and there it is, the double cluster coming into view. Double clusters are gorgeous. It literally is, I call it a glittering jewel box in the heavens.
2 jewel boxes.
Yeah. And let's move over. Let's get some photos of it, because I want to show you something interesting here. Here comes the second cluster. You'll notice something right away looking at these clusters. And we are under clouds right now, I guess. But you know what? Let me back us out a little bit. Let's go to fit the width, so you can see all the clouds here. But boy, usually this is so much more vibrant to us, but it's not right now because of the clouds. We just caught the edge of a high cloud bank that apparently is passing through the desert right now. So it is all my fault for wasting your time. Hey, Creeptasia. All right. So let's try. Go ahead.
Never mind.
What were you going to say?
No, I won't say it.
Now you got everybody wondering what you were going to say.
Yeah, it's all your fault. I'm going to get indigestion from eating that chili so fast so I could be here.
Now I see what you were going to say. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. We all tend to try and do some good things for everybody. Let me just okay, that's the double cluster.
Poison arrow. We talked about this on the last stream, I think. The heavier elements, they used to say they came from supernovas. So, when the stars cook down to past silicon, all you got left is iron, and that's when the star goes supernova, because it can't burn anymore. When the star goes supernova, they used to say that's when the heavy stuff was made. Nowadays, the popular theory is heavy stuff like that happens like when neutron stars collide.
Yeah. It's interesting when you look at stellar evolution and how it works. I mean, I mentioned this before, I think even in the last stream, that in order to get a good feel for how stars really work, what we did when I was getting my astronomy degree was we actually built a star in the computer. We built a computer model of a star using all the astrophysics findings to generate the energy and so forth. And what we saw was when you look at the energy return from fusing different elements, it climbs. You're getting more and more energy as you climb. It levels off and starts to level off as it gets toward iron. And then at iron, it goes down. And so iron is the highest point on that particular, I say graph, if you will. And it requires more energy to fuse than the star gets back. So a star naturally doesn't go down that path toward doing that because it doesn't have the energy to provide over and above what it's already providing in order to fuse iron. However, in a supernova situation, that's the time when the star is no longer a star, and there is just this cataclysmic pressure wave that is thrust upon the center of the star from all sides. And all the iron and the nickel nuclei, there's not atoms in that core, that's all just protons, because the atoms can't exist at that type of energy level and heat. And so they actually end up being crushed to the point where they fuse into further elements. And yes, it's true that they can fuse into further elements down in the periodic table at that point. However, as Daryl pointed out, typically a star only in a supernova will generate certain elements in the periodic table. And elements like gold, for instance. Gold is a fascinating element. And where does it come from? Well, every gold atom in existence appears to have come from, as Daryl just pointed out, colliding neutron stars. And you might say, but how many neutron stars are colliding in the universe? Trillions of them. You know, trillions upon hundreds of trillions, billions of trillions have done so over the billions of years the universe has been here. Again, the numbers in my book, The Populated Universe, I talked about the very first chapter is called The Problem with the Numbers. And it talks about the numbers are just so hard to fathom that you can't imagine that colliding neutron stars can form all the gold we have. Because you can't imagine that in a universe as big as it is, that it would somehow find its way here for us to have gold on the Earth. But when you look at it from the perspective of how long this has been going on, and the amounts of the gold being generated by these collisions of neutron stars, you can see that yes, over time you're going to get gold atoms floating around. Do you know every one of you has gold atoms in your body right now? You actually do. You actually do. And if there was some, genius villain, they could figure out how to extract all the gold from every human being and be billionaires, But I think it's kind of a sick thing to think about, honestly. So I think I'll stop there.
$1 million.
Yes, 1 billion. Yeah, that's right. 1,000 or whatever. That's Austin Powers. I forget what he said. That was very funny. Yeah, this is the double cluster. Now, take a look at this cluster, and what do you notice about it? Okay, you'll notice. Let me zoom in here a little. You'll notice, besides the amorphous color that we have here and here due to the cloud passing through, you'll notice that one cluster looks more compact than the other, and there's a reason for that. Okay, this cluster is more compact. Okay, this cluster looks less compact. Why is that? Because it's here. It's closer to us. The other cluster is further away from us. So whereas at the double cluster, if we turn those on our side, we'd find there's a great distance between these two clusters. I forget how many hundreds of light years, but it's a few hundred light years as I recall. Just enough so that this cluster looks somewhat looser than this cluster here. And Daryl could find out those distances if we wanted to. The other thing to notice is,
if we wanted to.
If you wanted to, yeah.
You could do this over the thumb, and if the cluster on the left looks 3 times the size of the one on the right, it's pretty fair to say the one on the right is 3 times farther away.
Yeah, but that doesn't work, because if you say if you say this is 1,000 light years away, and then say, well, this one's 3,000 light years away, that's not true. It's a relative number that we're looking at.
All right, let me look it up.
You can play with your thumbs if you'd rather. I forget the numbers, but also in here you'll notice there's these red stars. These are actual members of this cluster, because these stars, being hot and young, they burn through their hydrogen at a much quicker rate. So by doing that, they enter that red giant phase sooner, and their evolution is quickened. So you'll see that some of these stars have gone to red giant phase already here, and that means others will follow.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that before we got sidetracked. Okay, I'm completely wrong. The one on the left is 7,460 light years away. The one on the right is 7,640 light years away.
Right, it's a couple hundred light years difference, just enough you can. It's like, again, it's a delta, the relative difference.
I probably knew that once upon a time.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. But the point being is, you can tell by looking at it that because they were formed at the same time in the relative same location, they're probably about the same size. And so if this one was closer by 200 light years, it would look like this one. You know, and so because it's not, it just looks a little more compact. But boy, oh boy, just like imagine it's like taking a ride into this cluster. You know? Wow.
So why red giants in the one and not in the other one?
Oh, actually, but that's not necessarily true. This one here is there. This one, that one. So this one has, looks like 3 anyway, that I can see offhand, and it may be that those are in the cluster. But these clusters are literally sister clusters. Hey, Alicia. Good night. Thank you for coming. Love the photos of Darlene with her big dogs.
I think they might have been one cluster at one time. They separated. Or maybe just closer in the past.
I think it was one of those things where they formed as like a binary cluster. Because if they separated, it would mean that there's something interacted with them that caused them to separate, and they would have probably been a much more diffuse, larger cluster, a single one. You know. Jorge
Cortez.
Okay, you're gonna answer.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Jorge Cortez asked, "Are the clusters different galaxies?" No, they're not in different galaxies. The Sculptor galaxy we looked at was millions of light years beyond our galaxy. Okay, every star you see in the sky that's like this in the sky, these are all in our galaxy. They're here. If you look at my image down in the lower left, they're here. Galaxies are way out here, you know, millions of light years away. Goblin, welcome. Welcome back. So when you look at the clusters, those are stars. And all the stars make up galaxies. Our Milky Way that you see with the Milky Way, that when we looked in here, okay, when we saw the summer Milky Way coursing through our view here, it's kind of just barely visible now. We're looking at the plane of our galaxy as seen from our perspective here on Earth, about 30,000 light years from the center, roughly. And so that's kind of how we look. It's how we're looking at the forest from inside, and the forest consists of all these stars. If we leave our galaxy, then we'll see things like when we look at the Andromeda galaxy, or the Triangulum galaxy, or as we saw earlier, the Sculptor galaxy.
When you see images of like Andromeda galaxy, this comes up a lot. When you see a picture of Andromeda, all the stars that you can make out in the field of view, none of them belong to Andromeda. They all belong to the Milky Way.
That's right. Good night, Carl. You have a good night, Carl Becker. Thank you for coming along. Good to have you, as always.
In the yellow sky view there, that's the Pleiades right about in the middle.
Yep.
The bright thing to its left is Jupiter. The bright star below Jupiter is our Aldebaran. The V is the V is the Hyades cluster,
Yep.
and that makes the head of Taurus the bull.
That's the star Aldebaran right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the two stars above Jupiter, I misspoke the other night. Of the two stars, bright stars just above Jupiter, the one on the left is one of the tips of the horns of the bull, and then the other one is that dimmer star to the lower left of that star. That's where the Crab Nebula is.
Yeah. Elnath, right?
Elnath is the higher one.
Yeah.
That belongs to both Taurus and Auriga the Charioteer above it, kind of a pentagon shape. Then the slightly dimmer one to the lower left of Elnath is, I forget, Zeta Tauri. That's where the Crab Nebula is, right next to Zeta.
Mm-hmm. Ron McGear, if you're still here, hey, thank you, man. Good to see you. And I will talk to you again. Have a good evening.
JSCO asks, can we have a quick look at the moons of Jupiter?
Why, I guess we could. Let's do that, shall we? Alright, so we're going to come out of here. There's the double cluster. I won't save it because this is really not a very good shot of it with all the clouds in the way. But I will take us to Jupiter so we can check that out. I literally had no clouds in the sky when I started, and this happens, you know. This is what we talk about. The astronomers' bane of astronomers is that, you know, suddenly we'll end up with all these clouds out of nowhere.
Happy birthday, JSCO.
Hey, it's your birthday? Nice. Tomorrow. Okay, cool. Well, in that case, let's give you a birthday present of looking at the Pleiades, shall we? I think that's a great idea. Okay, so let's come over here. Or no, Jupiter, I mean, sorry. Alright, we'll look at Jupiter right here. Okay, this is by request. The moons of Jupiter. You see the telescope moving right there. Alright, and you'll see this really bright object come in. Just glaringly bright. Here it comes. Alright. And that's Jupiter for sure. And now let's just bring it down. Yeah, there it is. The other night we looked at the moons and we saw that, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto were actually in different positions because they are orbiting Jupiter, of course. But as we come over, I'm going to reduce the brightness significantly, and you'll be able to see this much better.
If you watch Jupiter and its moons over the course of an evening, you can see them having moved in a matter of hours.
That's right.
Sometimes, you know, they'll be in a completely different configuration when you retire for the evening than when you first looked at it.
Now, I'm looking at this, and you'll notice we're getting some wind, too, as you can see. So we're seeing this is bright, not so bright, moderately bright, and somewhat bright. This one looks the brightest. So I'm wondering if that's going to be Ganymede, which is the biggest moon in the solar system. Let's find out. We zoom in on Jupiter and see what we got here. So we got two out here. Yeah, that's Ganymede. Okay, so that's Ganymede. Let's center it up. So this one is Ganymede that we talked about just now. And this one is Callisto. And if we move it over and then go back into our stellarium, you can see that this farther one is actually Io. And this is, oh wow, look at that. turbulent wind cells, plus we've got those clouds. And that's Europa, guys. That moon right there, that one is the magical moon where we might find life in the solar system. Right there, that's Europa. And Europa is literally, it's a moon that's covered with ice, but it has an ocean beneath the ice, maybe up to 60 to 90 miles deep. And the Europa Clipper is on its way to Jupiter right now. And the Europa Clipper is going to be passing over Jupiter and looking to see if there's a suitable landing spot for the next mission to go there, the Europa Lander. And the Europa Lander is going to also try to find a fissure to land in so that it can start drilling through the ice to try and get to the water ocean beneath. Now, I think the best place to do that from is probably where one of these geysers are spouting water, because that is an area that will give access the easiest to the water beneath. You have to understand that that ice weighs a lot. Even under the European lesser gravity, it's only about 2,000 miles across, 1,920 actually. Okay, so Europa, there's a lot of mass of ice, miles thick all the way around, and Europa's own gravity is compressing, downward, but water is not compressible. So if you drill a hole in the ice, you're going to get a geyser shooting out of water that's now liberated from the inside. Woohoo! It'll be very, very high pressure, and it ain't going to calm down. So that's why Europa has these geysers that are always spouting water ice, and as we noticed, hydrocarbon compounds as well. So Europa is a magical location. It's got a lot going for it, and in all likelihood, we're going to get to spend a significant amount of time at Europa looking for potential life.
When we see Europa right now, it is moving from right to left as it's about to pass behind Jupiter's orb. And Io, farthest to the right, is just turning the corner down to also move to pass behind Jupiter in the coming hours.
Now keep in mind, you're looking at projection. Io is the closest moon to Jupiter by far. Okay, Europa is the next one out. Okay, so you're saying, well, why is it close? Well, if you look at this in 3D, Io is going to be in a circle here, a circle moving around Jupiter, and Europa is going to be in a much bigger circle. And we're looking at it more or less in the plane of our solar system. So when we're looking at Europa here, it's really much further away in the distance as it's orbiting around Jupiter. So you could actually figure out, you could get the maximum distance that Io travels away from Jupiter, and literally knowing the distance to Jupiter, you could get a rough calculation of how far Io is from Jupiter. But luckily, we already know all that in intricate detail. We do it as an exercise.
I just posted a link, shallowsky.com/Galilean. This is called the JavaScript Jupiter page.
Oh, yeah, it's going to show where the moons are.
It'll show you the moons at any time.
Yeah.
Like right now, or you can change the time. And it also shows right now the great red spot is facing us. Probably won't be able to see it with the weather conditions.
You know what? Let's try. Let's go to. I got zero gain. We'll do 50 milliseconds here.
I noticed that shallow sky here, the great red spot, it tends to run a little bit fast. Here it shows it just left of center, so it may be farther to the left in a live view.
Let's zoom in.
Give it a go and we'll see.
Let's zoom in. Now with that, again, we're a wide field telescope trying to do high focal length work. So that isn't going to really work too well for us. So clearly, with this next telescope, this type of view is what that telescope's made for. All right. So uh, we'll be able to see Jupiter with its moons. We'll be able to see the cloud bands on Jupiter, multiple bands. Right now, we just see the two main bands, maybe a hint of the red spot. But with the next telescope, we'll be able to see a lot more cloud bands, a lot more detail, and we'll be able to see details on the surface of Mars that we currently can't see very well. Again, wide field system has a certain use. I decided that I wanted to have a wide field system that could look at vast nebulae, because as an astronomer, dark nebulae are where it's at for me. That life began in the dark. ERT radio, it's Ronald. He says, I can't wait. Yeah, I know. That's a funny joke, Ronald. Ronald's one of our best benefactors to SkyTour livestream that we've ever had. So anyway, I can't really see it. Let me see if I can increase the brightness enough to catch that. Look how much it's dancing around. There's all kinds of reasons why. May have some wind out there.
I think I might just barely see it.
Well, let's try to actually get us.
Just a faint darkening on the left side.
Yeah, let's go a little brighter. Like right here?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be the red spot. And you have moments of seeing that are perfect for a moment, and you'll actually be able to see it. And we can take a video right now. What we can do is extract from the video all the best ones, stack those, align them and stack them using this other tool I have, and maybe get a pretty interesting shot of Jupiter. But I'd rather do that with the larger celestron, because that'll give us a better view. All right. Well, in any case,
what might come in handy on the next telescope, I don't know if you'll have room for everything, though, is I know you're intending to put a filter wheel on it.
Yeah, I have a filter wheel behind me that I'm going to send out,
yeah.
but it's only a 5-place. I want to get the 7-place so that I can add some other stuff. But go ahead.
What I was going to suggest was a turret.
Yeah, see, I'd love to do a turret. And if I did a turret, then that means I could rotate in a spectrograph, which is one of the things I want to do as well.
Or a planetary camera.
Yeah, that's true.
If you really want to take advantage of the focal length of the next telescope.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, that's all things we can do. I just have to make sure that we can get the basics done first and get this in the building first.
Right.
And like I said, SkyTourLive.org. If you can donate, fantastic. We'd love to have you. Claudio Ramos from Chile, how are you? Nice to see you. Haven't been here in a while. Good to see you, brother. We have a cloudy night right now, Claudio. I'll just show you again the all sky. You see we got some high clouds. And they mess up our seeing a little bit. But we checked out Jupiter by request and its moons. And what I'll do now is, because it's directly overhead, is I will take us to Messier 45, which is the Pleiades. But I think before we go there, I wonder if we can get away with this. See if we can get a little better view tonight. We'll try that. We're gonna go first to the Crab Nebula and see if we can get a good view of that. I'm not promising much because there's some clouds, but if we have some fortunate moments of seeing, okay, we might be able to catch it. Now, let's see here.
When Black Forest Observatory was still functioning here, just north of Colorado Springs,
yeah,
the guy had a tremendous Cassegrain telescope. He'd designed and built himself.
Okay.
I forget what, 30-inch or something like that.
Yeah.
I forget. He also had a manufacturing business building high-end telescope equipment, and he built his own turrets.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he had like a 6-position turret on the back of that big Cassegrain, and it was amazing. I mean, he could switch from eyepiece to eyepiece or camera to camera, whatever he wanted,
Yeah.
and that thing would really do tricks like jump through hoops.
I love it. All right, let's see. With the clouds, I can't really see the Crab Nebula right now. But let's find out if it's in the view or if the telescope has been fooled. Okay, yeah, so it's not quite in the view. All right. Telescope gets confused in clouds, but you know what? It's okay because I can actually take us to Elnath, for instance, and Elnath is something that can't be easily missed.
See, Ramos, I don't think you can post links if you don't have a wrench. You can try. Go ahead and shoot the question, please.
Pillars of Creation, Jorge Cortez, is not in the Pleiades. It's actually in the nebula called Messier 16, the Eagle Nebula.
Summer sky.
That's what I said, Messier 16.
Well, you didn't say summer sky.
Oh, you're right, I did. You're right, sorry. Yeah. Some things I take for granted, but you're right. Absolutely right. Okay, we're gonna center Elnath here. Okay, there's Elnath. It's actually quite amazing. Stars are really such an amazing things. Okay, there's Elnath centered up there. And I'm gonna go to Elnath. And
Theta.
that's right. Okay, and now I'll jump down to the Crab Nebula. And it will be right in the middle of the view. It may not know it, but it will.
See, Ramos, what do I know and think about Las Campanas Observatory? I mean, I've heard of it, of course. I don't really know a lot about it. It's part of the Carnegie Observatories.
I think he's talking Chile and Paranal and all that. Yeah. Hello, Richard McFarlane. Yeah, we got some clouds too. Yeah, everything Daryl told you is true. And let's see here. Let's get let's live stack. See if we can get this to come in. I think I just missed it.
South Chile, Las Campanas.
Yeah, there it is. So obviously we're looking at it through clouds, but that's that supernova remnant we talked about. A few thousand light years away, but visible in our night sky is another star for a period of months in 1054 AD by Chinese astronomers. And really just a incredible event to be able to see a star in your daytime sky. I like that. When Betelgeuse explodes, and I hope it happens in my lifetime, when Betelgeuse explodes, you're going to see Betelgeuse in the daytime sky for several, maybe a couple months until it fades. This is really obviously not very good because of the clouds. But the fact that we can image through clouds is kind of cool. Yeah, we normally get so much more detail in here.
We looked at it last stream, if I remember right.
We did.
It was a
We did, yeah.
nice, crisp view.
Yeah. And tonight, of course, our sky looks like this. Well, and then that high altitude aircraft leaving a contrail. One night we were here, and at the all-sky cam, we saw this gigantic bright object passing right over the observatory. That was actually a re-entering rocket we caught on the video. This is made into a video by the end of the night. So, for instance, these are all the all-sky videos, and like this is last night's. Okay, so this is a time lapse of the entire day and evening. I'll just jump to the night so you can see it. So the sun's going down over here, and this is the conversion moment where it goes to the longer exposures for nighttime. See how dark the clouds are over here? There's no moon right now. But look how bright they are there. Yeah, the moon is illuminating them from, as it sets there. You'll see a little piece of it down here. You can see it right there behind the clouds. But you see the stars moving. That's the rotation of the Earth. Yeah, we're rotating out from under the stars. And those are satellites you saw going over. Yeah, really neat. This is just really cool. I built the all-sky camera system from a public domain all-sky software, and then I built up the hardware using ZWO cameras. This is the 684 MC? No, it's not cooled. It's just the 684M Pro or 684M camera. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And you can see the Pleiades and Jupiter over there now. This is the end of this particular segment because we're still having power issues out there. It was at midnight observatory time. We actually lost power to the observatory again. But it came up the next day. Yeah, they're working on it, trying to fix the solar panels because the observatory is using green energy. We're actually off the grid completely. It's totally solar powered, as you know. Just letting everybody know. All right.
You lost it again last night?
At 3 a.m. Our time here at 2 a.m. our time in Connecticut. Yeah, power went down out there. It's all right. So I'm kind of taking a chance right now. But it's been relatively reliable at night, so that's why I'm doing it. Okay, but I'm going to go, we'll do one more object tonight. And that's something that I think is a good object to do. There's so many things I want to show you, but this guy isn't gonna cooperate. But because it's literally almost straight up, I think we'll go check out the Pleiades tonight, right now. We've seen it many times before, yes, but I will tell you, I don't think anyone said that. I just answered that question. Mr. Django asking, and the lens. Oh, for the all sky? Okay, that's a good question. I have the specifics written down. I'll have to tell you when I get them. I'm not hiding it. I'll tell you when I know again what they are. It's a very wide angle lens. I'm going to replace it with an even wider angle lens, because you'll notice that our northern and southern horizons are getting knocked off. I want a full circular view, and to do that, you need a different lens. So here's the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters. We have Atlas and Pleione. We have Alcyone. We have Merope, Electra, Maya. And there's literally at least a minimum of 1,000 stars as part of the Pleiades cluster. And they're about 400 light years away. And what I want to show you before we end, if we can, we'll be able to see it somewhat. Okay, we started the exposure now. I want to show you the dust around the stars, because it's the dust around these stars that we think we might actually be in as well. Even though it's 400 light years away, a dust cloud can stretch thousands of light years, and we might be in the Pleiades dust cloud. So, oh, look at that. That is helpful. Yeah, we're not getting much of the dust because of the...
Is it windy?
Yeah, that was a wind thing. But the full width half maximum should have thrown it away. Yeah, it's... Don't know why it didn't do that. Again, it could be the clouds. You know, the high clouds could be throwing off our analysis routine here. Yeah. It's definitely windy though. And that's another reason they could be... It wouldn't throw off this, but I think the clouds are throwing it off. We can't even see the clouds around the stars anyway. So what we'll do is we'll have to abort that one. But now if we do this, let me try this. It might have figured it out. If it does another red one, it'll be above this dashed line. Oh, see, it said it's green. No. Okay. It's having trouble with the processing because of the clouds. Well, folks, sorry about that. Sorry about that, indeed. Oh well.
When you have a good view, the sky's clear, and you look up at the Pleiades, you'll see the Hyades, that V-shaped cluster just below them, the head of the bull.
Yeah.
These are kind of riding on the bull's back.
Oh yeah, definitely wind.
And then you'll see Jupiter, and you'll see Aldebaran, the bright red star that's the eye of the bull in the Hyades. You can get a very three-dimensional feel for it. Pluto's maybe half a light hour away. It's relatively close right now. When you see Aldebaran, there's actually a foreground object. It's about 70 light years away. When you see the Hyades cluster, it's about 170 light years away. And then the Pleiades up at the top is about 400 light years away. So if you sit there and kind of grok that and take it all in, sometimes you can get a very 3D feel for what you're looking at.
Yeah. Well, folks, you can see the images bouncing around a little bit. You'll see the stars get elongated a little, like right there. Okay, and they move. That's not the telescope. The telescope is dutifully following the sky, the rotation of the Earth. That's the wind and turbulence in the evening sky. If we come back and look at our all sky, you can see these light clouds. There's the Milky Way, by the way, that we were talking about before. That's cool. So, that said, we'll just say we're going to shut down now because we have too many of these clouds to get a good view. But hopefully you enjoyed the things that we did cover tonight and show you. I hope you enjoy that again with us. And I will basically be back to you the next clear night. If it's clear tomorrow, we'll probably... Well, no, tomorrow Sunday, no, I've got the radio show from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. I may do that or I may not. And the reason is because Monday I'm filming with A&E again. Because one of the other things that you some of you may know, there's a show on History Channel called The Proof Is Out There. And I've been their chief photo and video analyst for like 5 years now. So I've been on that show rather consistently. So they'll be here Monday filming the next batch of stories. And so Sunday night I won't be able to stream because I have to be up at 7 a.m. to let the film crew in. And then I'm not needed down here again till 9:30. Anyway, that's the trouble when they come to your house. You're kind of like got to do everything. All right, guys. Well, I hope you have a good time with whatever you do tonight and today for those that are overseas. And you have a good evening, folks, for those that are here on the East Coast with me. And Daryl is in the central part of the United States. So enjoy the rest of your evening out there. Hope you guys have a good time. And I will see you on the next stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, go to SkyTourLive.org. And you can join our Patreon if you want. It's all free anyway, but join our Patreon to help us out. Or you can actually donate to us if you like. We'd love to hear from you. So thanks, guys, and we hope you have a very, very nice rest of your day and evening.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, folks.
Stars so bright in the sky. On Arizona nights they fly. Nebulae in colors rare. Galaxies beyond compare. Sky tour in the night so clear. Brings the universe near. Real-time wonders to see. Streaming live for you and me. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every night feels brand new. In the dark, the night unfolds. Stories of the cosmos told. Through the lens, a distant dream. Living real like a gleam. Far away, up so high. Across the stars, beyond the skull. Through the lens, a distant dream. Living real like a gleam. Lift your eye up so high. Across the stars, beyond the sky. Sky tour shows us the way. Every night a new display. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every night feels brand new. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the